Hey there, welcome to the Breakthrough Creative. I am your host, John McDavitt, and this is the place where we talk about the business of art and the art of business. And one of those business topics that just feels nebulous to me, feels like trying to hold jello in one hand, is marketing. What is marketing? Is it storytelling? Is it branding? Is it sales? Is it part of sales? Is it separate from sales? When am I supposed to market and when am I not supposed to market? Help me to understand this. And so that's what I was thinking when I ran across my guest, Andrew Deutsch of Fangled Tech. He is a marketing specialist and he is going to help bring some clarity to the issue. Before we get into this week's episode, would you please take a moment to subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube or follow us if you're listening on Apple Podcasts? Hey, if you are not aware, I began offering just last week business coaching for artists. I want to be here for you. Many of us know how to draw, we know how to paint, we know how to do the digital, we know how to sculpt, we know our craft. And where we struggle is in the business side of things. How do I approach that company? What company do I approach? How do I price? How do I form a corporation? Do I need to do my taxes? All this stuff. Well, I get it. I've been there and I want to help you. And just last week, I began offering my services for coaching through Business Coaching for Artists. The link is below in the description for this episode, and you can click on it. And there's a little spot right there where you can put your name and you can write down areas that you want to overcome to move forward in your business. And you can see the pricing. The pricing is very reasonable, and we'll spend time together and we'll come up with a plan for you. So I'm really looking forward to meeting you and to serving you. Now on with this episode.
Hey, John, I'm Andrew Deutsch with Fangled Tech, and what I do is a mouthful. I'm a global marketing and sales consultant. Our company is designed to help companies get back to their core, understand who their customer is and how they can solve the problems those customers have in a way that's better than any other alternative solution to that problem. We help our folks convert every touch into voracious advocates for their brand.
It sounds like you're a marketing specialist.
Imagine that. We are, and with a global reach, we have affiliates in about 120 countries. So we help companies either grow their business here domestically in the United States or through our network almost anywhere in the world that they have a viable product or service that they could sell.
Oh, that's fantastic. So can you, I guess I'm going to give you a two-parter right off the bat. Can you tell me what marketing is? And then maybe going along with that, where do people get it wrong? Why is marketing such, at least it seems to me to be such a confusing topic?
Yeah. Well, it's because it's been redefined, like most things that we have issues with politically, religiously, otherwise, are people with different definitions of the same word. So if you go to school to learn marketing, there the official response is marketing is the 5 P's. It's product, place, price, promotion, and packaging. And that's meaningless. And it's also somewhat inaccurate. Marketing is the process of, first of all, defining your brand in terms of how the market is going to respond to it and benefit from it. And then creating the total platform of that business from concept to product or service, execution, service, and beyond, that really becomes who your company is and how it's perceived for its growth.
Can you clarify for me when you said the platform that gets into everything? Is that like continued storytelling and defining for
It's a
your
component of it.
customers what it is? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a component of it. The problem, you asked me the second part of the question, which I can answer that'll help make the first part more, where they get it wrong is everyone thinks of marketing as one or two of its components, not of the total. So for example, if you ask Billy what's marketing, oh, those are the guys who advertise on TV, right? And if you ask Johnny what's marketing, they'll say, oh, that's the brand. And everyone sort of misses that really what it is. When marketing is doing its job, it allows for the company to understand and control what people say about that business when they're not in the room listening. So, that's really what the brand of a company is. But it's controlling that entire or enhancing or growing that entire message of who the company is, what do they stand for, how do they make people feel, and how do they interact with the world. Those are all the components of marketing. So it's a whole series of things that make up that total package.
So it sounds like, and I know you just said it, but I'm going to say it in my words so you can tell me if I got it right or not. Marketing is creating the story that is going to communicate clearly what it is your company provides to the customer, and then channeling and communicating all of that information to the customer in a variety of different ways, right? It could be spoken word, it could be commercial, it could be print, it could be on a website, it could be anything that gets the information across. So the vehicle for that information, and then having it clearly land into the minds of the consumer so that they understand it and are then able to express back to you what it is you can do for them
and benefit from it. Let's break it down in a different way, because there's the 5 P's of marketing, and in our mindset there's 2 components of marketing. There is the strategy, and then the tactics that put that strategy in play. So a typical engagement for us, we day one, new client. Who is your customer? We ask that question. Tell us about your customer or customers and what matters to them. What are the pains, challenges, desires, and otherwise that you believe that you have the ability to solve for those people or companies that you're serving? The next question is, who are you in a business, and what are the ways that you solve those problems, and how do you do it differently than all of the other alternative solutions to that problem? Not your competitors, because that's a whole other story. Competitors are the people who do the same thing you do, but there are other people out there that can solve the problem with something different. They may not be in your mind a competitor, but in fact they compete with you. So I mean, if you're in the business of burying people because you're a mortician, your competitors are other people who prepare bodies. There are places that do cremations, but there's other alternatives out there. There's all of these other ways of dealing with. I mean, there's the Viking funeral. There's all of these other places that people could go to do that. Do you only consider other people who prepare and bury? And I know it's a morbid thing, but it gets people's attention, so I use it. It's so first you want to understand and build that strategy. Who are these people that could potentially do business with you? That's number one. What do they need? What are their needs, desires, pains, and otherwise that you can solve? What are the problems? And then how do you as a company differentiate in a way that matters to those people? So now you can go to the tactical phase of communicating so that they recognize that you've met them at their model of the world. You understand all of these things, and you've got alternative solutions that you're going to charge them a fair price in their mind to resolve that. That's really the core of marketing. And once you've built that strategy and you implement the tactics in place, the sales team is now empowered with the tools to be able to fulfill that premise that you created, that you can solve those problems.
It sounds like another thing marketing does is it's a tool for the company itself to understand who they are and what
Absolutely.
they do and why they do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, most companies are stuck, and I have misgivings. I'm sure you've heard of company mission statements.
Yeah.
If you talk to folks on the numbers side, mission statements are the core of a business. Mission statements to me are a great place to start a planning meeting within a company. But nobody in a company understands that mission statement and lives it every day the same way that they do what we call the brand story, which is the why that includes the emotional impact of the company and what it means to the employees and what it means to the world. We tell everybody in the business world, the marketing team is every person in the building. So is the customer service team, because at the end of the day, an inspired internal team that is living the brand story every day and keeping the customer first in their mind with every decision they make is how companies can really grow those advocates for their brand that will help the business boom. If you don't have that internal buy-in to who the company is, what's your brand story, and all of that, then the company's off in all sorts of different directions. I mean, imagine a scenario where you bump into a guy from I'll pick a car company that's not a Pontiac. They're not in business anymore, not to insult anybody. And you go, oh, you work for Pontiac? Yeah, I wouldn't own one of those. And you go, well, wait a minute. Yeah, I work inside. People are jerks. I hate my boss. If that's the situation, now you were thinking about buying a Pontiac, but because those folks within the organization don't even buy in, maybe that's not the brand for me. So if everyone in the building is excited about what they do every day, if the fellow who's hired to make the bathroom shine outside of the boardroom meeting where visitors come in, so that when people come in and they look around and he says, I'm going to make this building shine because these people are going to be so impressed with how we take care of them, they're going to want to do business, and he has that motivation behind his job, then his job matters. And that enthusiasm is viral through the entire organization and all of the fans and advocates for that brand that are out there.
How important is the emotional aspect in the marketing story?
Indispensable.
Yeah.
People don't buy the features of your product. They buy the benefit. And part of the benefit is how that product, how that company makes you feel. There's a brilliant marketing strategist, a friend of mine, Allison, and the name of her marketing company is Felt Marketing. And she's in the B2B space, the hard industry. But the reason she's brilliant is she recognizes that people buy because of a feeling that and how they emotionally react to that supplier and that product, even if it's something that people consider to be a commodity. People, as automated and otherwise as we become, if you can show someone the emotional benefit of doing business and how it's going to make their life better by doing business with you, you're always going to win the deals, except in extreme circumstances.
It's funny, when I would go into clients to meet them for the first time, and this was pre-internet, pre-having a website presence, somebody being able to see all my work. I would walk in and I'd have some photos of my work, and they would usually be impressed, or they'd ask me questions. And my goal was, I knew they had a need for product development. I knew they had a need for a visual representation by a creative to help them. And I knew that there were a lot of other designers out there too, illustrators and designers. And I felt like my goal or my mission was to get in there, to find out what they needed, to find out their story, then to communicate who I was, inform them what I could do for them. And then it was so wild that this just popped up to me from a friend who had said this. He said to me one time, he said, I'm here to make their nightmares go away. Well, there's a lot of emotion in that statement,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And so if I felt like the meeting was well received, or even if it was kind of borderline, I would finish kind of my spiel with, that makes it sound so lame to say spiel, but I think you know what I mean by that.
I have no idea what you mean, but I'll stick with it.
We'll have another meeting about that.
Okay.
But when I was done pitching what it was that I could do for them, I would then say, and by the way, my goal is to make your nightmares go away. When you hand me the project, I don't want you to have to think about me again until you go, wait, John is calling, and I'm calling you before you would even call me to see how the progress is going. I want to be like the guy in the sidecar in the motorcycle who's taking care of whatever business needs to be taken care of over there, and you're not thinking about me at all. And I would usually walk out with projects
Yeah.
right
How
after
did that
that.
make nightmare thing go away, make nightmares go away thing work when you were trying to land that Freddy Krueger project to make those
Oh,
dolls?
it worked perfectly because then I'd show up in their dreams. They'd be
Yeah,
like, "What are you doing here?" I said,
yeah.
"I'll even be here in your dreams."
Yep. One of the I tell the story all the time. Years in many points in my career, I've worked in with products that compete with 3M, whether it was in the adhesives industry or otherwise. There were just for some reason projects ended up being competing against them, and
And that's a
they're
tough one. That's a tough
well,
competition.
and the reason that they're tough is because of the quality of their marketing and their branding. I've heard this statement made in 5 languages in my career. We'd be interested in what you have, the buyer, but I've never known a buyer who got fired for buying 3M. Yes, you're cheaper. Yes, you've got similar test results, but I know that I'll never be called on the carpet because of that brand. That's marketing at play. And of course, now you have to come up with strategies to get around, which is nobody ever got promoted for buying 3M either. And start to play with that in that, yeah, if you want to play safe all the time, enjoy the desk that you're sitting at. If you want to move up to a supervisory role, how about something that could save the company X million dollars in the next couple of years without jeopardizing quality or increasing quality? Would that get you the promotion that you're looking for? So, I'm not selling the product. What I'm selling is what my product can do for his career. And that again is sort of that reframing take on that brand statement. And it does work.
Well, what's brilliant about that is, and I almost did it. Maybe I'll have to go back and watch the video and see if I did it. But when you changed the perspective on your present on your question or your statement, I guess that led to a question, I almost raised an eyebrow.
You did.
And I'm like, that's cool, because what it does is it stops the person, makes them think, and it's incredibly persuasive because it does a couple of things. One, you put into question whether it's going to help them advance or not, and so now they're thinking about themselves and what they want to bring to the company. And then it also allows you to keep your foot in the door because they haven't slammed it shut. It's like, oh, that's really interesting. I like that.
Well, there's another piece to it too. What I'm saying to him is, I care about you,
Yeah.
and I think I can help you get ahead in your career because I've done this before, and I like you enough to give you an opportunity to grow, even though I'm not verbally saying that. That's the underlying message of what's there. I'll give you another example of it that I hear all the time. You want to get in a meeting with somebody, and I'm not interested in a sales pitch. I don't want to be sold. Nobody likes sales. We always have the same response. I'd like to reframe what you just said. What you're saying is you don't like people who pressure you, mislead you, misinform you, and waste your time, right? Yes. Well, that isn't what sales is. Sales is to really understand what your needs, challenges, and desires are, looking within our organization to see how we can solve those at the right price. Who doesn't like to get their problem solved? That's what we do. We're not here to do those other things that you're defining as sales. And it's immediate. I mean, everybody loves to be sold. We just hate to be pressured, strong arm, tricked, and all the things that the used car dealers of the world have made us think sales is about. Sales is about solving people's problems and making their lives better, if it's done right. We say all the time, sales is like romance. If both parties aren't enjoying it, you're probably not doing it right.
Yeah. I love that. And I love how you clarified it too, because I see that in my business that I'm a problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
I am here to solve problems. And if I can't solve your problem, or if you don't have any problems, then you don't need me. Let's go get a coffee and we can just, how's life?
Yep. And the problem with a lot of sales in general is this idea that it's all or nothing. There's a famous guy on, I won't mention his name to not have him yell at me later, but in sales, there's no second place. And I go, it's nonsense. If you're selling a very high-end, high-cost product, for example, a total data system for a company for $5 million to run the business. Yes, once the deal's sold, it's going to be 20 years before they go into the market for that. So maybe in that case, but in most industrial and other sales, even in the creative profession, you go in and we've really got this artist that we've been using for years, and he's done a great job for us. Well, some people could go, okay, well, it's all or nothing, gone. No, it's, you know what? I know, and I love his work. I admire him, and I know that you have projects that you might want to try something different. What harm would it do for me to give you a different perspective on a small project so that you've got a backup? If something ever happened to him and he's the only guy you're working with, how could I help? Maybe there's a small project. We call it getting the camel's nose under the tent. And the reason you say that, do you know what happens after a camel's nose gets under your tent?
No.
The whole camel follows. So in this case, give me one. I know you've got 20 projects a year that you do. Give me one of them. Give me the small one, and then you've got a backup. If something ever happens to him, and by the way, I love the guy. He does great work, and be genuine and honest. Unless the guy really sucks, which you wonder how he got the job in the first place. But give me a small piece of the business and let me be there for your backup in the industrial supply area. Let me pick up 5% of your business this year, so you have a backup, because you don't have a guarantee. If their warehouse were to burn down, do you really want to shut down your whole factory because you're missing one bolt that I could have provided for you?
So of that, that's an eyebrow raiser. It gets to
Mm-hmm.
somebody's heart, and there's a concern there.
Yeah,
Something could go wrong, and they need a backup, and it's persuasive.
yeah, and obviously the hidden motive is that if the work is good, the rest of the camel will follow, and you'll get more and more work. But nonetheless, what you're really doing is you're providing a better night's sleep for that buyer, because when he goes home tonight, or she goes home tonight, or whatever is not a he or a she, I always get those wrong and I get yelled at for gender stuff. But that buyer goes home tonight and says, you know what? I feel a little bit more secure in my life, because if something were to happen, I've now managed risk, and I can talk about that in my next year annual report. What did you do to benefit the company this year, John? Well, one of the things I did is I created a second layer of support for risk management for the company, because I care about the business. And by the way, pay me more next year because I did this.
Yeah,
I deserve a raise.
yeah, that's really good. Tell me, I think you mentioned a little bit earlier, and I don't remember if you went over these or not, but the 5 Ps of marketing.
Yeah, so there's product, which is what you make or provide. Then there's price, which is the strategy behind how you get the maximum out of what you sell in the competitive landscape to leave no money on the table. In other words, if I sell at this price, it's the old economics sort of aspect of it. Is that a price that will attract people to me in the market? Am I overpriced, creating a different value level? Or do I need to price high to keep people from thinking that I'm, that something must be wrong with my product, it's too cheap? So there's the price aspect. And then there's the promotion. How do I get the word out? After promotion, there's the packaging. What are people going to see when they look at how it's put forward in the market? So marketing has gone far beyond that concept, which is what every marketing student begins with. It's sort of the foundation of how to begin to understand marketing. But now there's so much more to it, and each of those gets broken down. In promotion, is it advertising? Is it word of mouth? Is it influencer? Is it digital? What are all of those promotional tools that exist? It's way beyond what you would study in school. But those are the basic 5 Ps that they grind into the heads of college students when they decide they want to take a marketing class.
It's like a Marvel multiverse down the rabbit hole, man.
Yeah. The problem with, these 5-point definitions is they're so limiting.
Yeah.
It's every time I see a post on LinkedIn, these are the 7 keys to success. Really? I have 8 keys. I have 9 keys. Why am I limiting myself to 7? It's to say any post on the internet that starts with, I'm posting this to inspire you. The only thing that guarantees is there's probably nothing inspirational to follow.
Yeah. It's a tough one, right? Because you're trying to get people's attention, and people are trying to create a framework around what they do. And I found it just, as I've gotten older, absolutes are limiting,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not true. They get you found out, I think.
Yeah. I had someone the other day ask me, do you consider yourself to be a thought leader?
Let me think about that.
Yeah. Well, I have a simple response. I don't get to decide. It's not up to me.
Yeah.
it's anyone else. I don't know. I don't trust people who put things like that in their title.
Yeah.
Do business with me. I'm a thought leader. I'm a master coach.
Yeah.
Really. And the other one that always cracks me up is the word certified.
Yeah.
By who? When I was in the mattress industry, we were helping a US manufacturer of mattresses open up the Latin American market. We were setting up distribution in South America. And one of the bragging points of that particular company was that their mattresses were certified by, again, I'm not going to say the name, a specific institute of sleep. That isn't the actual name. And it turns out that this Institute of Sleep is an outside office on the building where they manufactured, where they tested their own mattresses and certified their mattresses. No other mattress has ever been tested by this institute. But as a promotional tool, our mattresses are certified by this Institute of Sleep organization, which is, false. So, I am a certified coach. Certified by who? I've been. How many weddings have you been to where somebody got their ordained by filling out a form on the internet? I've conducted weddings I have no affiliation but I went on the internet and got a certificate that said that I could now perform weddings for a friend of mine.
Yep.
It's
Pedigrees, right?
all of
like to see pedigrees. They like to have them, and
yep.
I guess I guess you gotta mind where people's pedigrees are coming from, right?
Yeah, and it's all self-serving and bizarre to be able to say it. Now, I have a diploma from a specific institution. I was in a networking meeting last week. I hope this person doesn't come back and bite me, but this woman was arguing that she was an expert in her field because she got into MIT when she was 11 years old. And I went, well, that's interesting. I said, when did you graduate? I didn't graduate from there. I said, well, you were a freshman when you were 11 and when did you finally get your degree? I don't have a college degree. And we went through the whole thing. It turned out at 11, she took a photography class that was available to the public at MIT. But that was a certification. One of the greatest marketing guys I know in the world, a guy I worked with for years, I love the guy, always talks about his time studying at Harvard. But he's not a Harvard graduate. He went to an advanced adult education for executives for a week in a program. But so, what does all that actually mean? It's marketing. That's
marketing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking as you were telling me that.
Yeah.
People are marketing themselves.
Think about the crap they sell on if you watch cable news at 4:00 in the morning. Today, we have a bag of air for sale. It's special air. And if you open that bag of air, it'll make your life better. And today, and only today, you can get the second bag for free. Just pay an extra fee. And you go, who believes? Of course, at 4:00 in the morning, it's people who are still, getting through what happened to them the night before, and its effects, and go, oh my God, I get it for free with just an extra fee. I'm buying.
Would you tell me a little bit about the role, just because I'm in product development, about the role of marketing and product development?
Sure. In this is always one of my favorite areas to work is bringing new technology, new products to market. There's 3 pools of product development. And I joked before that, you don't want to limit things by giving numbers, but I'm going to do it to product development. Sometimes we develop a product because we know of a specific pain and everyone in the market knows of that pain and we have a solution for it. Pool 2 is we've got a solution to a problem that people will readily recognize once the product comes to market. And the third is we're going to create a solution to a problem nobody has and nobody ever will have. And those are the ones that are on that late night TV, like all the people who are terrified of their can openers cutting their hands. We've developed a new way of opening a can. And you go, in what world was there like an emergency room full of can opener victims? Or have you ever had trouble storing your shoes? We've come up with a new way of doing it where they're kept upside down. What the hell? So the second, products that people didn't realize that they had a challenge, a lot of those are like the new data products. For example, when the iPod came out, people weren't really looking for a solution to carry around. They didn't realize how convenient it would be to have their entire record collection in one device. But as soon as they saw it, they recognized it, and those things sold like crazy. Now I don't have to carry around. My evolution of it was I would get on an airplane with a box of cassette tapes about this big for a 16-hour flight, and I would have a box of batteries, and I would have a cassette player like a Walkman. And then years later, they came out with the CD players. So now I had less batteries and a smaller thing with CDs in it. Then they came up with the MP3 ones, and I was able to, with maybe 3 or 4 CDs, have all the music I might want. Then the iPad came out, and the iPod came out, and with that little sucker, I could have 1,000 albums in one place with a battery that would last 12, 13 hours. I was in heaven. But each of those evolutions, I never, go to the fax machine. When the fax came out, it was revolutionary. It took forever for people to catch on to how brilliant it was, because you weren't spending hours on the phone and using mail, and one fax machine paid for itself instead of 3 FedEx envelopes, and that was it. But that was before we knew what the internet could do. And then so those products, and then the ones that solve a problem, something is happening in, break down ladders, fall down. They created locking mechanisms. I'm going to buy that ladder because I know if 2 people fell off a ladder, I'm aware of the problem. That's a solution. So from a marketing perspective, when you're going to go to market with something new, whether in the consumer or the business space, if you know which of those pools that product comes from, it really determines all the rest of the project going forward. It's critical to the marketing space.
Yeah. Tell me, what do you think creatives need to know about marketing?
I love the topic, because when I look at creatives, and of course we've had this discussion privately about the difference between artists and craftsmen and people who do crafts, but what all of those people need to know, if they have an intent to be able to support themselves and make money doing it, goes back to core marketing. You really have to understand who your customer is. Now, depending where you are on that spectrum, most artists that I know will tell you, when I'm creating art, I'm creating for me. So if that's the case, then you need to know that if you want to sell these things you're creating for you, you need to know that there are people out there who have the same interest as you, that will feel and want to connect with that work that you're doing. And then there's the other end of the artist spectrum, where the ones that we always call sellouts. I make stuff I don't even like, but I know it'll sell. So depending on who you are, falls kind of into those 3 pools that we just talked about. That solving problems that nobody ever had is that artist who creates something that everyone else goes, what the hell? And then he gets all upset because nobody will buy it. Whenever you see comedy making fun of the starving artist, that's the guy. So depending on where you are on that spectrum, your level of comfort in creating only for yourself or creating for an aesthetic or a need that someone is asking you to do, or I know what the market needs. I know that there's hotels all over the country, and they all need pictures of barns, and they want one-off paintings. So I'm going to paint 1,000 red barns in my career, and I'm going to make a fortune. So you really have to understand who you are and what you're willing to, not willing to do, your personal brand, and how that relates to that end customer. And then from there, you can determine where are you going to show, sell, promote your products, or starve to death.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really good. I see so much incredible work out there now. Being a visual artist, I'm on Instagram a lot, and Facebook and whatnot, and they're so good. And then I'll see a comment that says something along the lines of, I'm not selling anything right now. Why am I not selling anything? And I think, to your point, we need to know who's our market, who are we, what do we want? If we want to earn, we need to start sculpting ourselves and funneling ourselves into a manner in which we can start to solve problems of potential clients out there that our work would solve. So
yeah, I'll always coach an artist, never jeopardize who you are, your morals, ethics, and otherwise. I mean, if you're being asked to create art that you would find personally offensive or outside of the realm of what you do or what you represent, and you're taking that on, you probably are needing to take the profits from that deal to hire your therapist. But if if you're really looking at it from, I'm doing this because I want to support my family, myself, and be able to pay for my life, there's certain give and take in terms of what you should and shouldn't accept and do, with the exception of things that are outside of your moral and ethical code.
So well stated.
Yeah, I hate that idea that, and as a marketing consultant, and I'm not going to share that here, but there are businesses that I refuse to help because I'm opposed to who they are and what they represent, what they do, or how they treat their people, or how they represent themselves in terms of the global community. There's just certain areas I won't work, and I give up a lot of money by doing that. But at the same time, I sleep like a baby when I go to bed at night because I know I wasn't helping somebody pollute rivers or blow things up or otherwise.
Yeah, standards are good.
Mm-hmm.
Standards are good to have. All right, as we come to the close here, what are 3 simple steps creatives can take to improve their marketing?
But the simple steps is learn about your customer, who they are, what their pains and challenges are, and where they are.
Yep.
Second part is how you best serve those people. Do you have a way to serve them? And third is, how do you differentiate from all the other people who could solve that problem in a way that really matters to them? Those are the three keys to marketing in my book.
Perfect. Great homework. All right. So as we close here, I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and they should be pretty easy.
Uh-oh.
Is there anything you think I haven't asked you about marketing that would be important for us to know today?
Yeah, I would say in terms of things you didn't ask is, at what point does marketing become sales? And my answer is, it always is.
Ooh.
They're integrated, and all marketing creates the tools for sales to work, and sales has all the answers marketing team needs to build that campaign. That would be my answer to the one thing that you didn't ask about.
I like that. And that's a whole other episode, right? To talk about sales and how to sell and what sales is. So
when HBO broadcasts the John and Andrew reunion, that'll be one of the questions they ask us on the stage.
It'll be, I'll have to make sure that I have all 3 tennis balls on the 4 feet of my walker.
Yes. And I'll be there to change the oxygen tank for you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You can put a little nitrous in there. So where can people reach you if they want to learn more about you and your marketing, or if they want to watch your podcast?
Our company, as you can see here, fangledtech.com, gives you a little bit of information about how we serve. If you go on YouTube and you look up Fangledcast, which is the Fangledcast, if you search that word, you'll find our podcast, and check out all the different stories and interesting people that we talk to about subjects that really do matter. It's a different type of a podcast, very conversational, and it's basically, we come up with ideas and questions that we want to resolve, and then go out and find the experts who can answer those questions. And then lastly, I'm on LinkedIn, and you'll recognize it because I look like this, and it's me, and it's got my name on it, Andrew Deutsch. And you're welcome to follow or send me a note, say hello, and I'd love to interact with folks and help them grow their business.
Fantastic. Andrew, thanks so much. Yeah, that's where Andrew and I met, was on LinkedIn. I just reached out to him, and I'm like, hey, would you be interested in coming on the show? So, I
said no. Then you showed those pictures that I told you not to share, and then I said yes.
I know. And then I'm going to show up in your dream as Freddy Krueger tonight. So that'll be fun. Very, very retro, very 80s of me. I know. Andrew, I really appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me on. I had a blast.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Andrew, thank you so much for being my guest this week. Thank you for simplifying what can be a really complex topic. I really, really love the 3 points that you shared toward the very end of the episode, and I want to reiterate them, that 3 focuses of marketing need to be learning about your customer and who they are and where they are and what their pains and challenges are, which in turn is going to lead us to point number 2, which is how we best serve our customer, okay? Which leads us to point number 3, which is how do you differentiate yourself from the competition, right? Why should they choose you? Those are all great points. Thank you so much. I also love you talking about the camel getting its nose under the tent. What happens once the camel gets its nose under the tent? Well, the rest of the camel comes in. And if you can get your foot in the door or get your own nose under the side of the tent, you may be able to get in and really grow your relationship with that client. And, I also love you talking about having the client give you a portion of their business that somebody may be quick to say to you when you call them up or you communicate with them, however you choose to do so, about your business and your services. Look, we've already got vendors for that, or we have a vendor. And then, you gently say, well, hey, that's fantastic, but could you give me a small portion, or could you just give me a try to see what my services are? Because I think I'm going to add some value that you may not yet be aware of. And if you can get 10%, a portion of that client's business, there's a really good possibility that you're going to be able to get more work from them down the road. You're trying to build relationships with people, right? I think too often we hear no and then we just turn away. They don't want anything to do with us. But people are busy, people don't know who you are yet, and you need to tell them that. You need to keep marketing to them without being a jerk, without being obtrusive, beyond some kind of a common, cool standard, that you are somebody that is going to be able to help them and make their problems go away. And that's it for this week's episode of The Breakthrough Creative. I hope that you are getting busy about the business of doing whatever that next step is for you in your own creative business. Do you need to add a new creative skill? Do you need to put an elevator pitch together? Do you need to make some cold calls this week? What is it that you need to do? Take that next step, okay? Constantly building, 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 so that you can have a successful and flourishing creative business of your own. See you next time.